How are you doing today?
Fine, how are you?
And what's your, I'm doing good, thank you. What's your position?
I am a kindergarten teacher.
Okay. How long have you been teaching?
36 years, and I'm retired, but I'm still teaching.
What brings you back?
I miss the children.
Just something extra to do,
Yes.
on the side.
Yes. I mean,
Well, what defines you as a teacher?
your love for education, your love for children. You have to love children in order to be able to teach them. You can't just go into a classroom and say you're a teacher. You have to have the gift to teach children. You have to have that desire and that love for them, because so many children now today are needing us as role models for them.
Okay. Well, why did you decide to choose this profession?
Well, at first, I was looking for an easy degree.
Okay.
But I'm from a family of teachers. On my mother's side, they're all educators. But I'm basically all deceased now, but they were all educators. And so I thought I'd keep the tradition going. And at the time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So, but now that I have chosen teaching as my profession, I love it.
That's great. That's great. Looking back over the years, do you feel that you made the right decision?
Yes, yes, I do, because one thing about this profession is even if you retire, you're able to go back and still be a part of the system.
That's good. That's good if they will allow that to go on.
Yes.
Well, do you feel like you've made a difference in students? Have you seen?
Yes, I've had students to come back, and matter of fact, at the end of this month, I'm going to one of my students' wedding, and I've had them to come back and say, "You made a difference in my life, and you're my favorite teacher." Then I had a group of one class. They sent me this for the teacher of the Who's Who, that book, Who's Who for Teacher of the Year, whatever, and I feel like I did. You know, some have done well, some made mistakes, but that still doesn't stop me from caring about them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
some have really done really well.
That's great. Really great. Well, can you tell me some of the ways that you feel that you've made a difference? Are there anything that you can remember?
I feel like there are some that I feel like that would have not finished school, have finished. I have even encouraged those that I worked with that weren't teachers to pursue their goal or their dream to be a teacher, and they went back to school and got their degrees. There are some children, well, they're adults now. I think I made a difference because now I'm teaching I taught some of their children. Now, I don't want to wait to teach the grandchildren, but I feel that my love for the children made a difference for some of them that had bad attitudes and everything. Most of them are starving for just some attention to make a difference in their life, what they don't have at home. But when I first started teaching, children weren't quite as, I can't say demanding. Children were disciplined when I first started teaching. Parents didn't believe everything the children said. So, but even in that, I've really had some good days with children.
Well, looking back, when you talk about discipline, I know that you see it in the classroom, and I know that you can tell that from times back, children were disciplined.
Yeah.
Tell me ways that you see now that you can tell that the society is changing and children are not disciplined at home.
Well, one thing, children don't have respect for adults. And it's really basically like they don't have really much respect. People don't have much respect for teachers. But it took teachers to make doctors and lawyers. There was a teacher somewhere in their life.
Right.
The children today rule, well, it appears to me, they rule the parents. Whatever they tell their parents, that's what their parents believe. You as an educator, you'll tell the parent what they did, and they'll say, well, so-and-so said, you know, they have more faith in what their children say than what they do the adults that are there with them. Because when you think about it, we're with them more than their parents are. 5 days a week for 8 hours. They have them on the weekends or for snow day or something. They have them during the summer, but we spend most of the time with their children.
Mm-hmm.
The discipline is really a really need to be taken care of. Discipline has to be back in these schools. This is why you're having children going and they're doing things that they should not be doing, taking things into schools that they should not be taking to schools. We need to look at this, and we need to get back to some of the old ways. But of course, I know that's not going to happen. But with all the new technology and everything, but there still has to be some way for teachers and adults in the systems to get respect.
Mm-hmm.
We need respect.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what do you think that it takes in a person to do this kind of job?
Determination, just the desire to see a better world. Because we got to think about it. This generation that's coming up now, these will be our doctors and our nurses and our policemen, and in these jobs, are we these people the ones that we want taking care of us?
Right.
With the way that they are, with their selfishness. I can even see it in my own child. She's 28, but even in her lifestyle is not what I'm happy with. But that's her choice. And the thing is that if parents would give them the right foundation, then yeah, they'll go through the phase. They'll come back. I went through my phase, but I came back to reality.
Well, can you give me some examples of things that you have done to go above and beyond to do your job? I'm sure you have many. With all the years that you have in, I'm sure.
I've tutored children that were deficient in math or reading. I've done homebound, after hours. I volunteer at youth groups or things to help children, and now our church is believing we need tutoring because these children need some assistance, because a lot of the situations now, because I ran into a lot of things where the parents were unable to really help their children because they didn't understand what we were asking for. So I've even had parents to come in and we work together, and I give them materials and things that they could work with their children, but you'd have to show them how to use it. I've done that in the past, and I have time for the parents as well. I have time to sit and talk to them. I go out to their houses. I talk on the phone. I keep them abreast of what's going on with their child. I don't try to wait till the last minute to bring back. I did all that I could to work with the parents, and some received, some didn't, and that's just part of life. And but I do feel like I did what I could, and I will continue to do what I can. As long as I'm allowed to.
Well, that's great because, as a parent, I do know that a lot of teachers will not go above and beyond to do the job. They're there for the 8 hours, and that's all they're there for. Because I've had issues in the past, like I said, with my children, to where if I was notified of what was going on, I could stop it. But as a parent, we're not at school with our children. And it takes a teacher to make us aware of what's going on.
Right.
So on that part, I would have to say thank you for going above and beyond to make sure that your parents are aware, and that way they can take care of it. Right. Some will, some won't. Yeah, but at least you can say, I tried.
Yes. So I had some situations that I really felt that needed attention immediately, not wait until you send a note home, and for some things that were just not what little kindergarten children should be doing, and I notified the parents immediately, and they were there, and we, as they call it, nipped it in the bud before it got out of control. Some little things curiosity that little 5-year-olds have sometimes, that's not really what they need to be curious about at this time, and I thank God that I've always had parents that I could communicate with, and then I've had parents to go off on me. I've had that, but that's part of life too. So that doesn't. But I do feel like you, as a parent, also you want to know what's going on with your children for the well-being of your children. So any teacher should take a little time with her planning or whatever to notify a parent if there is a need. And I feel like you should do it immediately before it gets cold.
Yes.
Because, then you let things go, and then by the time it does come to a head, you're not remembering all the details.
Right. Well, how do you feel about other teachers who may be just in this profession to earn a payday and not to do the job?
I don't know how, but
How does it make you feel?
well, it makes me feel that I go over and beyond, and I take a lot, and I, not only from parents, but you even have administrators that take their job to the extreme, as if they're over you and have control. And I'm not controlled by anybody. You can, I don't feel like they should be there. Because if you are the upper class children, they'll have all the time in the world for you. But if you're that underprivileged child, they can't help their situation.
Right.
They don't have time for them. I've seen that myself, and I don't like that. With me, I love them all, but I'm going to try to cater more to those that don't have in order to build them up, that they will eventually someday maybe become that doctor or that NFL player or that NBA player or that fireman or that president, that they know that it's always a possibility that they can succeed no matter how their situation is now.
That's great. That's really good. And that's what they need. They do need that. Because like you say, a lot of them don't get it at home.
No.
And if they don't get it at school, where will they get it at?
Right.
And they might not ever even complete high school.
I know.
If they don't have teachers to help them get
Yes,
their way
because
through.
most of them, you can say, what do you want to do? I want to get on welfare like my mommy. No, there's more to life than welfare.
Exactly.
And then they need to know that, look, what if there is none? What are you going to do?
Right.
You need my parents always prepared me, told me, look, get your education. We're not telling you not to get married or this, and this, but get your education just in case it may not work out. You don't have to ever depend on anybody but yourself. You can get out there and work and take care of yourself. And I did.
It's great.
I did it, and so I didn't understand what they were really saying then, but I understand now. Because there was a time in my life I was raising my daughter by myself. My parents were there for me, but I was raising my daughter by myself. But had I not had education or had a profession, I don't know how we would have, we may not have made it. But because of, look out for how you're going to take care of yourself. Don't depend on anyone else to do it for you. Have something that, it doesn't have to be divorce, it could be somebody passed away. It could be anything. And you got to be able to survive after the tragedy. So, this is something that I try to instill in all children, that you are somebody. You wouldn't be here if you weren't somebody. There's a purpose for every child that is on this earth. And I look at the positive. Now, the negative may be pumped into them, but I find the things that are positive so that they will go forward.
That's great. That's really good. Well, do you incorporate social studies by any possible way into your kindergarten lessons?
Well, our social studies is integrated.
Okay.
So there are books that we read. Some are about, like this week we're working on if you could go to Antarctica. Okay, and then we talked about the globe. We talked about the 7 continents. I know they may not remember them, but we went over them. And then today what we did, we found a website that incorporated music from different countries.
Oh,
And so we did that today so they could hear the different ethnic groups. I believe in all cultures. I think you should learn a thing about all. So yes, and we have the social study books. Some are social studies, some are science. It just depends. So, we talked about Antarctica and we learned about it.
That's great. Really. Well, do you feel that incorporating social studies into your lessons is important?
Yes, because just reading and math, there's more. They need to know that there's other options out there. They may want to travel someday, or they need to know about every aspect: social studies, science, the technology, of course, and you just integrate it.